So this video is going to be part 2 of the marriage video. This is basically a woman's prime versus a man's prime. And so typically a man's prime is like later than a woman's. One of the reasons that you'll see women date older guys. So typically a guy, as far as being able to provide, having emotional maturity, kind of like hitting his stride as far as working towards his career, really trying to make something of himself, is going to start around 30. And if the guy stays in shape, takes care of himself, and continues to progress professionally, prime can last for a guy from 30 to 50. Whereas a woman's prime is typically viewed at as like 18 to 25, as far as that's the age they're the most fertile, a lot of times the most attractive. And in a lot of instances, a woman's currency, the initial currency in a relationship, is going to be youth and beauty. And so if you're looking to start a family, that's kind of the age range a lot of guys are going to target, especially if you want to have a couple of kids. Give yourself a few years to be able to kind of enjoy each other, get married, and then have kids, and still have those kids not be considered high-risk pregnancies. You're going to generally want to meet someone between 18 and 25. And like I said, whereas for guys it's lower. So it would not be unusual to see, say, a 25, 26-year-old woman with a 32, 33-year-old guy. Technically, they're both kind of in their primes. Their primes happen to be at different times. The most common age for a first marriage is between 27 and 28 for both males and women. So that 27 to 30 range, that's kind of when the primes start to shift, where you'll see guys start to gradually come into their prime, whereas women start to gradually fade out of theirs, and that's the moment where most marriages take place. So now, as far as mediating risk from a guy's perspective, I would put marriage age in like buckets. So the buckets I would have it go with 18 to 25 would be one bucket, 26 to 34 would be another bucket, and then 35 and older would be another bucket. So I'm going to go cover them from least risky to most risky. The least risky age group, in my opinion, is the 35 and up group for a woman. She's kind of already established herself. She's doing her career usually by then. If she's going to be a homeowner, she's probably a homeowner by then. If she wanted to have children, she's probably had them by then. And so there aren't as many ulterior motives for them wanting to get married, other than like maybe they really love you and want to spend the rest of their lives with you. So there's a lot less red flags you have to be worried about from someone that's 35 or up. You can kind of see what their life's about at that point. It's usually pretty well defined. And when it comes to like maybe being taken advantage of with alimony and stuff like that, like I said, they've already been established. So you don't have to worry about someone who can't keep a job or never works. It's hard to make it to 35 and beyond, never providing for yourself. And if you have made to that age without doing so, it's going to be pretty obvious. So I view that as the least risky. The second least risky group is the 18 to 25 group. Reason this is least risky is women know, so an attractive woman is going to have a lot of advantages in that age range. So like a guy's prime may last for a longer period of time. I feel like a woman's prime has a higher ceiling. Like a woman with no job, who's beautiful and has Instagram, can get flown out to trips, can get gifts, purses, cash, international vacations. There's a lot they can extract just from beauty alone. Like without having a personality, without having accomplishments, just being pretty and young, there's a lot of value that a woman can extract. So the reason I say this is the second lowest risk is because if a woman is willing to share with you some of her prime years with her husband, that's a good sign that she wasn't trying to basically, I'm going to extract all the value out of my prime and use it selfishly for my personal benefit. And then when the DMs slow down and the mail letters slow down, and I start getting carded for club, or stop getting carded as often for clubs and alcohol because I look a little older, then I want to settle down as I recognize my value in the dating marketplace is trying to decrease. Then I want to sell off that value before it plummets any further, right? So a woman is willing to say, hey, I know I can still get top shelf guys, or athletes, or access to six-figure professionals, for example, but they're like, I'm choosing to date you. I'm choosing like to go ahead and settle down and embrace love and the life of a family and a marriage. Then that's a good sign, because they didn't have to. So that's why I target that group as the second least riskiest group. The most risky is going to be your 26 to 34. This is a really, really, really risky group, only because there's so many societal pressures on a woman at this age group that it's hard to determine whether or not they're being sincere. You know, because then they're starting to see their friends, some of their friends get married, some of their friends start families. They're getting the interest is starting to slow down in some cases from guys. So there's a panic that sets in for a woman in this age group that say has no kids of, I don't want to be left behind. You know, the train for love, happiness, and marriage and family is starting to leave, and I'm still at the train station. I'm panicked. And so you might get someone tempted to commit, you know, maybe sooner than they would have, or be open to marriage in a situation where they normally wouldn't have, because they're afraid of being left behind. And you don't want to be considered a settle. That's very risky and leads to a high probability of divorce if a woman views herself as settling for you. So she wanted X, wasn't able to find it. Now she's panicked, and now, okay, I'll take something just to have it. I'm not saying that can't lead to lifelong happiness, but if your woman views you as someone she's settling for and doesn't view you as a man she really wants to be with, a lot of risk going into that. And some of the ways to mediate that risk, especially as it relates to marriage, is what is she talking about when she speaks of marriage? It amazes me that guys will end up in divorce or will end up with women that don't make great wives. But when it came to marriage, all the woman talked about was the ring and the wedding day. That was a red flag. You know, marriage, if you're young, you get healthy, you live a long time, you'll be married 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And out of those 30, 40, 50, 60 years, if all she talked about were 2 days, the day she got the ring and the wedding day, you shouldn't be surprised that she wasn't a fantastic companion. She wasn't imagining being a companion. A lot of women want to become a wife, but don't necessarily want the role of being wives. Let me repeat that. A lot of women want to become a wife, but don't necessarily want the role of being wives. So some good signs would be like they're imagining growing old together, taking walks together, taking care of each other, having grandkids, you know, seeing your kids, you know, getting to sports and going to their events. Maybe you have a daughter, you want to go watch her have cheerleading practice or watch her, you know, play sports. You look forward to, you know, hiding their presents for Christmas and putting dollars under the pillow for Tooth Fairy. So if she's talking about these things, right, sometimes at least, then she's imagining the life of a family. She's imagining the role of being a wife, and that means she's really thought through the overall marriage package more than someone who only thinks of the things that benefit them, the ring and the wedding day, where they're the center of attention. And you'd be surprised how many women will do that. That's all they talk about. They want to get married, but all they talk about are those 2 days. And so that's a way to kind of mediate risk. Was the woman willing to share some of her prime years with you, or did she want all of her prime years to herself? And then now when they fade, she wants to get married and wants all of your prime years as a man inside the confines of a relationship. Very risky if that's the case. So it's like, how does the woman view her prime? What decisions does she make in her prime? How panicked is she in that 26 to 34 year range? Like I said, the least risky is if she's above 35, already had her kids, that's behind her, she's working her career, providing for herself. There's a lot less risk there as far as having ulterior motives. Okay, so there's something to consider when you're looking at dating, marriage, what bucket age range the woman is in, and what could be the outside pressures on that age range. All right, till next time, be different.